So for this DIY, we're going to make a nice little painted flower pot. I've already taped off the rim of this pot. It's just a basic terracotta 11 centimetre pot. And I've taped it off using pieces of masking tape and small pieces and just stuck them around the edge of the rim just so I can get a nice straight line. So I'm going to paint the body probably a grey colour, I should think, probably for this one. And then over the top of this, I've got this little picture of a garden gnome that I've sketched. So I'm going to shade over the back and I'm going to transfer that on. I may have to do it without his shoes on because it was done for a slightly larger pot. So without his shoes on, just so he sits on his belly, and then I've got to stencil through using my pencil and leave a line on the pot. And then I'm going to colour it in. I've got my selection of acrylic paints here. So I'm going to paint that in, and I'm going to do it like a nice yellow and black hood to make it kind of bee themed. And then I've got this little picture of a bee that I've just drawn up there just to give myself either a stencil or just a guide of what I'm going to do. I might stencil it on just to see how that works and just do a couple of those, and I might do a couple of black lines out of there just to show where the bees come from, sort of where it's flown. Do a couple of those around on this pot. So the first step to do, like I said, is to paint the pot. So I'm using this Rust-Oleum chalky anthracite paint. So I'm going to just using my paintbrush, probably could do with a slightly wider one, but I can't find one at the moment. So just get it straight out the tin and paint on, and I'll work my way around the top, and I will paint the bottom as well. So I'll work my way around it. I probably need 1 or 2 coats depending on how thick I make it as I paint it on. So I'll speed up the video whilst I do this. So one of the good things about a terracotta pot and these Rust-Oleum chalk paints is they dry really quickly. So that's literally just been a couple of minutes. So what I'm going to do now, give that an extra minute or 2 to dry. So on my little diagram of a gnome, I'm going to flip it over. I'm just going to shade over the gnome to get us a tracing option. Now, if you have some carbon paper, or you could even use tracing paper if you want to do the same, then you can use that instead. But without it, this is just a really quick and easy way of transferring your design onto, in this instance, a pot or a piece of wood or whatever it is you're painting on, canvas, etc. So there we go. So that is all over the design, as you can see. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it slightly smaller, like so. And then using a bit of masking tape, I'm going to tape my gnome in place so he doesn't move. Let's just grab a piece of masking tape. There we go. So I'll just put a tiny bit at the top and a little bit at the bottom. I need to sharpen my scissors clearly. 1 and oops, 2. And then we will place our gnome on our pot where we want him. So I want to make sure, like I said, make sure the hat is on and the feet will just be off the bottom, unfortunately, but that is okay. Might have to, oops, it's not quite sticking to the paint. Cut that one down so I can stick on each corner. So on there and on there. Advantages, I've got that masking tape at the top so it'll stick in place on that. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to trace over the gnome, and then we'll take it off and we should have the tracing pattern on the back ready to be painted in. And taking off a bit of paper, and you can see we have a very faint transfer of our gnome on the pot. So now I'm going to work on this one and paint him. So I'm going to get the paints out. So the paints I want to put on this gnome are, it's So we want a nice yellow and black for his hat. Now I think I might darken that yellow slightly, or I'll see if I've got a slightly darker one. Is that one slightly darker? That one is a little bit darker. And I might mix it a little bit with this ochre as well, just to give it something rather than so it's bright. And then I want a peachy kind of colour. Might have to go look in my other stash over there. And then got the black for that. And then for his beard, we need a bit of a white and a grey, so I can make the grey up from that, and I'll go get the white. And then for his body, just below his beard, I think I'll just do the yellow as well, and then we'll work on the bees after that. So I'm just going to mix up the yellow that I want for his hat first. So I'll do that over here. I don't need too much. Put a bit of that one in, which is the Reeves medium yellow, and then I'm going to put a bit of yellow, bit of the yellow ochre in again, Reeves. There we go. That should just, oops, it's not coming out. That should dumb it down enough so it's not so bright, but it still has a lovely yellowness to it. And then I'm going to need black. So this one is Peebo Studio Acrylics, just noir, opaque. So put that into that one. Again, I don't need a huge amount of that one, but I also need to make up a grey, so I'll put a little bit in that one as well. And then the white I've found, I've got this Peebo Studio Acrylic Blanc, so then again that's white. So I need that separately, so I'm going to put a bit in there. Or I shall. It's dried up, so hopefully I've freed up that white a little bit now. So I'm going to put that up here so it's away from the black, so it doesn't mix before I need it to. Not much left in this. I need to get myself some more. There we go. Into there. And then I'm going to put a little bit over this side between this other black. So that we can mix up the grey that we need. So let's start by getting the yellow one. So I'll mix up that yellow and make sure it's a vibrant enough but still not really, really bright yellow. Let's come out more like a mustardy yellow. What I'll do is I think I'll add a little bit more of the yellow on this side. So this is the medium yellow. I'll scoop up some of that and mix it in with the medium yellow. Oh, that's more like the colour I was looking for. Perfect. Okay. So there we have our yellow. So I'm just going to work my way through this hat now. Take off the excess around that paintbrush. There we go. So I've made up this kind of skinny peachy kind of colour here using a little bit of this pink on the side here, mixing it with white and adding a bit of yellow. That is going to be the gnome's nose. So we'll just put that on. And depending on whether that stands out enough with the beard, I might go over it again later with a slightly different colour. But let's just get it in place first. So the next bit I'm going to do is his beard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with the white and do strokes down roughly, give or take, oh sorry, off the screen, give or take where the beard is, to outline it slightly. And it hasn't got to be perfect because we're going to go over and give it a bit of a grey tinge as well. Slightly elderly beard effect. And the next bit I'm going to do before I finish off his beard completely is do his body in the yellow, just so then I can finish off the beard with a bit of grey highlighting. So now I'm going to sharpen up that beard a little bit with a finer paintbrush, just to get those lines back on the beard that I have lost slightly with putting the body on. Maybe I should have painted the body first. I'm pretty sure other people would have done so. So that's a lesson learnt. And there you can see, if I hold it slightly, you can see the texture on his beard there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make up a grey, like I said, to try and do a few more texture lines. Make sure that yellow's dry. Move that out. So yeah, so I'm going to make up a grey. So I don't need too much. So just a fleck of black. I don't want it too dark, because it's meant to show that he's greying beard rather than he has black hair. There we go. So there's a bit of grey there. And then what I'll do is I'll fleck it through with some black as well. So rest that there. Loads my paintbrush and just bring it down a little bit. And then once I've done this, I can go over with the white again, just to highlight it a little bit more. That's the grey put through, and I'm going to try, if this ruins it, I might have to, want to make it start. I don't want to go straight black, actually. I've changed my mind. So I'm going to make my grey darker and do a similar thing again. And there he is with his slightly grey beard. So now what I'm going to do is grab a little bit more white and just go over the top a little bit more, just to dull it down that tiny bit. So it looks more white, so it looks like the grey is peeping through rather than the white is peeping through. There we have our bearded gnome. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and do the black stripes on his hat. And then what I'm going to do at the end, once it's fully dry, I'm going to get my black paint pen, the narrow tip one, and I will go around the edges and outline everything. But to start with, I'm going to do the stripes, in black using this narrow paintbrush. The next step is to add the bees. So as I said, I've got these little bumblebees that I have designed here. So I'm going to turn it over and shade on the back like that. And then I will get a little bit of masking tape. I reuse the bits I've got over here. And I will stick that on to my pot. So I think I want the first bumblebee coming up beside my gnome there. So stick on the top, stick on the bottom. And then what I'm going to do is just go over the top, careful because the paint is probably still a little bit wet from before. Just gently sketch round what I want my bee to look like. There we go. Take him off and hopefully that's worked. And there we go, we've got a very slight bee there. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to do the white wings first because they are the lightest colour. And I don't want to that's its wings. So now I'm just going to do its body. I'm going to use my pointy brush to do that one. I did a yellow first. And while that yellow is drying out, I'm going to do the black on his head. So I just need a black round head. A little black head. So now I just need to run 2 lines down for its antennae. There we go, and on this side. Like that. And I need to fill in its bottom stripes and its sting. There we go. And so we've got a cute little bumblebee on the side, and then I'll do another one over here. So using the same technique, getting my bumblebee, and I'll have him flying inwards from the bottom. I do envy the artists around that have confidence in their hand drawings enough so they haven't got a stencil on, because I still haven't got that confidence yet. I long for the day. And there we go. So then again, white wings first. Bring them in. And then I would do the head and the body.
something you just.
So that's the painting done on my two bumblebees and my gnome. So I'm going to let the gnome completely dry and then I'm going to outline him with my black paint pen. But what I'm going to do underneath the bees is I'm going to do some like flight lines. So this one will come around like that and loop. Yeah, I think I'll loop it around like that and bring it around like that. And then this one just have a little few down here. So using my fine line paintbrush, and I'll just have to show where it's come from. There we go. That is our bumblebees coming up from there and circling around on that side. So like I said, I'm going to let that completely dry and then I am going to outline the gnome just so he stands out a bit with my paint pen. I'll take off this in a second and then I will varnish the pot and that pot will be finished and ready to go. So the next step is to do the outline around my gnome here, just so he stands out a bit more. And I've got this black pen, it's Artistro paint pen marker, comes in a set of all those other colours. It's great, and you can also get them in full set colours. That's all in black and that's all in white. And you give the pen a shake like any paint pen and then you push it down until the ink starts flowing, and then what I'm going to do is just going to go around my gnome, around the outline. Now I've done the outline, I'm just going to peel off this top layer of sticky. So when I took the tape off my terracotta pot, when it had been sat in the sun, it's just left this kind of sticky residue. It doesn't do that, usually it's just because I'd left it and it's been really hot. And so what I'm going to do to cover that up, I've got a bit of twine here, and using my glue gun, I am going to wrap the twine round the top. I may go halfway up and leave a band of the orange terracotta, or I may go all the way to the top. I'll just see how it looks as I go. So I will speed up the video now whilst I wrap the twine around the top.